Good evening, good evening, good evening again, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and we are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do the usual disclaimers, again, I apologize for my appearance, but in my defense, Christmas has exploded into my living room, and I have this little piece of hair here that just wants to continue to irritate me like all day today. So, that's been fun. All right, folks, if you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or with the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's Judge Rotenberg Educational Center's so called behavior modification program. They don't want you to read that article so much, they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused, folks, so you know the drill. Please read that article and share it on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement in regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding in case the JRC actually sees through with their threat. Trigger warning 1. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center and the Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people, disabled people, and people with mental health issues being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, folks, please go ahead and utilize those headphones, all right? Number two, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is advised, all right? Okay, so where we left off. The ESDs subject to this ban are aversive conditioning devices intended to reduce or cease SIB or AB. We're getting a little bit more specific here, but not specific enough. For the love of God, I hate sounding like those idiots, but say, oh my God, say its name. What is this device? You cannot leave that up for debate or question, or that's how we end up like this. Aversive conditioning pairs a noxious stimulus, such as a noxious electric shock, delivered to an individual's skin by an ESD, but target behavior such that the individual begins to associate the noxious stimulus with the behavior. The intended result is that the individual ceases engaging the behavior and over time becomes conditioned not to manifest the target behavior. Can I tell you on the face of this that this is batshit insane? I will bring up once again my own generation, Gen X, right? We were the last generation subject to corporal punishment, right? Spanks, belts. That was my generation. Have you ever listened to what we got up to? Jumping off of rooftops, jumping off of 3 to 4 feet wide concrete ditches without pads or helmets. Let me refer to something I did where I went down what we call Dead Man's Hill. Why is it called Dead Man's Hill, Tip? Well, I tell you, because somebody actually died trying to go down it as a dare. And I took my little bike down, and I was about 6 or 7 years old with no helmet on, no pads, and the goal was to be able to ride your bike down it without hitting the brakes once and manage to not die. And guess what? I did it. I'm alive. It could almost be argued that some of our more extreme behavior and daredevil stupidity that we got up to, where a broken leg or a broken arm was literally considered a rite of passage, might have to do because of or influenced by the corporal punishment of the time. think about it, right? In fact, if you use that as an example, you could say that corporal punishment as a means to curb that kind of self injurious, let's face it, dumbass behavior didn't work at all, did it? It actually had the polar opposite effect. Now, second rant. This idea of conditioning that's been floating around literally since late 20s. It's called brainwashing, folks. It's this idea that if I make you repeat a behavior enough, that will become a part of you. To some extent, that is true. But to use that in regards to combat a behavior that is being triggered because of how the neurons fire in my brain is never going to work. At least not entirely. Because no amount of conditioning is ever going to change how my atypical, autistic, neurodivergent brain works. So, even though you could say that I am obviously a contributing member to society, on the other hand, given right stimulus, guess what's going to win? The autistic brain. To give you an example, every day I'm on that phone, I'm masking. I'm using small talk and doing all the little things that I inwardly detest with my whole soul in order to do my job, right? To keep employed. During Cyber Week, I was having to mask far more than I do on any given average day for hours on end, operating on very little sleep. Guess what happened? In spite of my conditioning, in spite of my training, how to act with neurotypicals on the phone, towards the end of it, I was literally starting to lose my ability to speak coherently. In fact, for a good solid 2 hours afterwards, I couldn't talk beyond little grunt signs at all. And you want to know why that is, folks? Because you can't condition the disability out of people. Trying to do that is not targeting the root cause of the behavior. It's trying to throw a band-aid on it so that neurotypicals feel better about themselves. Which means the underlying issues are not being addressed. And you know what happens when underlying issues are not being addressed? They become more. They become stronger. You see where I'm going with this here, right? The whole idea of conditioning you to not have self-injurious behavior. Yeah, hey, Karen, I would like a word. That's not how this shit works. As a contributing member, while also having an atypical autistic brain, I can tell you that I still, as articulate and as neurotypical seeming as I may be, still have moments where I will bang my head into the wall or into the floor or have a full-on meltdown because at the end of the day, in spite of all the conditioning and the training in the world, I'm still autistic. But let's finish up, shall we? Some ESDs are intended for other purposes, such as smoking cessation. However, the ban includes only those devices intended to reduce or eliminate SIB or AB. ESDs are not used in electroconvulsive therapy, sometimes called electroshock therapy or ECT, which is unrelated to this rulemaking. But you still have a glaring problem because I know for a fact that the SIBIS machine is used on the occasion to assist with problematic behavior. Granted, it is a horse of a different color, and the person who has the control to the device is the very same person who requested it in the first place. But again, by even you narrowing it down here, you're still not narrowing it down enough. And we're going to close on that here. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, please don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit those comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see you in a few minutes. Bye bye, everyone.